Well, hi everybody, and welcome to another edition of Bengal Magazine. We are outside at Koller Field. We've got a terrific show. That's because the boss, the president of Buffalo State, joins us, Katherine Conway-Turner. In our second segment, we're going to talk cross country with head coach Ray Shadowens, and Ray's bringing along Phil Giuga, the junior from Tonawanda. And then in our third segment, we're going to talk volleyball. Maria DePeters joins us. And Meg Brandon, her outstanding freshman setter, will also be here. And by the way, Meg is from Flint, Michigan. We also have the Tim Horton Athlete of the Week, and we'll do Bengal update. So sit back. We're going to take a quick time out, and when we come back, the president of Buffalo State College. Well, it is a beautiful day here at Koller Field and a terrific day to have the president of Buffalo State College, Katherine Conway-Turner, joining us. And thank you very much for being on the show. We appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
You know, the first couple of weeks of class, after a couple of months of not seeing the students, I get pumped up for it in an athletic type of way, saying that. You must get very excited to see classes started. And what goes through your head when you see orientation and classes start again?
Yeah, it is a really exciting time to have all of our students back on campus. Of course, during the summer, there's students, faculty, staff around.
Yes, absolutely.
But it's nothing like when everybody flows back on campus. And the excitement of the first-year students, it's really quite contagious to us all. So I think even faculty and staff that have been around for many years, feel the contagion of the excitement of being brand new at Buffalo State College. So it's a great time.
No, you're absolutely right. I think right around the beginning of August, I get lonely. We're working hard, getting preparation, but we get lonely for the students to come back. It's interesting. We're here at Koller Field. Athletics. What is the role in your mind of intercollegiate athletics to the academy, to this institution?
Well, there are really many important roles that athletics plays to Buffalo State and other colleges and universities. First and foremost, in my mind, is a sense for those student athletes to really perfect themselves physically on the courts and in the arenas. I mean, that's just really exciting. Yeah. So we want them, of course, to be wonderful students, but that balance. Sure. And so the leadership that they learn on the courts and the way they work with their team members, it's just really individually wonderful and inspiring for each and every athlete. But also for the rest of the community, it's just such a sense of pride.
Absolutely.
To see our students out there competing and leaving their all out there on the court. And so we all get very excited and, ready to cheer them on to victory. And also when those few times when we're not victorious.
Very few times.
To learn that lesson along with them. So
Absolutely.
That's also important too.
Absolutely.
I think it brings life skills to all of us, the athletes and also the audience, to understand that sometimes you get it and sometimes you don't.
That's correct.
And the important thing is to really learn from both. And so it's a very important part of our community, a very important part of Buffalo State, and a very important part across all of our campuses to have athletic programs here helping us to continue to learn and relearn those lessons.
Absolutely. You are, I'm gonna do a coaching analogy here.
Yes.
You are now in your third year
Yes.
As head coach of the Buffalo State campus. You are the president. Curious, define your vision for this institution. Where do you see the institution moving to?
Well, Buffalo State is an amazing institution and we do so many things really, really well. But as we move forward, I see us being the #1 choice for students who really want an urban engaged education. An education in a community like Buffalo that allows them opportunities to not only learn their knowledge in the classroom, but to reach outside the classroom to connect and engage with businesses and companies and nonprofits and organizations and communities. And so I think that we're just heading toward being that #1 choice, New York and farther away, for people who really want to make a difference in the world. I often talk about how important it is not only to be prepared and professionally competent, but also to realize that we need to give back to the world. You know, how do you make the world a better place?
Absolutely.
And with each and every conversation I have with our students, I'm always talking with them about that, about their own personal success. Yes, we want students to be very, very successful, but also how are you, whether it's biology or teaching or social work, how are you making the world a better place? And each and every time I hear those stories and those reflections, I'm just really realize what a special place Buffalo State is to provide that background for students to really engage in both ways.
And they can do that also, don't you think, outside the classroom too?
Oh,
I know you're
absolutely.
such a huge believer, and we are too in
Absolutely.
athletics, of give back to the community. Talk to us about how you believe in that and why you believe so strongly in that.
Well, I believe strongly because I think that the role of an educated person is to be someone who really, connects with their communities, to be that engaged citizen who really understands and can grapple with the complex issues around us. And so there really is no better place than your college years to refine that. And so in many, many ways, we have our students connected to the community. In fact, just this coming Saturday, we have Dare to Care. And so it's a day where Buffalo State students, faculty, and staff will descend into the community. We'll all be wearing our orange and bleeding our orange that day. And we'll be giving back to the community in a number of ways. But as a college student, you're very busy as a student. I know my students are. But there's no better time to hone that habit.
Right.
That habit of connecting with your communities.
Right.
So it's very important to me, very important to our college, and very important to our students to learn how to connect with their communities and to give back to the community.
We have about a minute and a half left in the segment, and I've always wanted to ask you this.
Okay.
In your biography, you talk about the transformative power of education, and I know you've brought that up in other talks that I've heard you at. Explain to the viewers what that means.
Well, what I'm talking about, I think it really can hold a number of different meanings, but what I'm talking about is there's nothing more like a silver bullet than education to really change your life. Everything changes through an education. The opportunities that you will have, the ability for you to do things, make a change in your world, to elevate your family, to change your family's trajectory. So it's not just about you. I mean, you may be the first, the second, or the third in your family that can really open doors. And so it truly can transform not only the individual person's life, but that of their family and that of their community. So when you, as an educated person, and you settle in the city of Buffalo or the city of Rochester or wherever, then you can find yourself in a position to know and understand and grapple in a way that you would not be able to if you had not gone through college. And so that's why it's so transformational. And two particular things. One is sort of the critical thought, the way you can analyze situations and understand complex issues. And secondly, the way you can articulate, your perspective. So you can have the best idea or the best understanding, but if you cannot write about it and speak about it, people won't understand.
Wow.
And so in those respects, I think that the Buffalo State education is truly transformative and provides such an opening for each and every student that leaves our doors with that degree, that diploma, that certificate, and allows them to really work in the world in ways that they really couldn't have done before.
Absolutely. Catherine, thank you again for being on the show. It's been a delight to have you and to listen to your vision and your views of Buffalo State and the world.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and I'm just looking forward to another wonderful season.
Go Bengals.
Go Bengals.
Absolutely. We're going to take a quick break, but before we do, I do want to remind you about homecoming coming here to Buffalo State, September 19th through the 24th, and the football Bengals and men's soccer are part of that. The Bengals take on Morrisville on Saturday the 24th at Coyer. And then men's soccer, immediately after that game at 4 o'clock, they take on Brockport. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Ray Shadowens and cross country. This is a college that inspires. Here you'll be engaged, strive for excellence, and prepare for a career. Visit our amazing Elmwood Village campus and apply today. You'll achieve your edge here. This place is Buffalo State College. Let's take a look back on the first couple of weeks of the new fall season here at Buffalo State with this edition of Bengal Update. The soccer programs are off to a terrific start to open the season. Men's soccer won the Fredonia Classic on September 9th and 10th to move to 3-1-1. Junior Tristan Myers had 3 goals and Bassar added the other in a 4-1 win over Baldwin Wallace before the Bengals drew Houghton College to claim the title. Women's soccer is now 3-1-1 after beating Franklin 2-1 in the Misericordia tournament down in Pennsylvania. Catherine Mimoser opened the scoring for the Bengals before Jenna Smolinski netted the game winner at the 72nd minute. Volleyball is 2-5 with wins over Utica and DeUval. The Bengals are led by Lauren Hansen in kills with 77, followed by junior Riley Chapman with 39, while Meg Brandon has 160 assists. Chapman and Victoria Rigler lead in digs, each with 69. Chapman is the team leader in service aces with 18. Football enjoyed a bye week on September 10th after a comeback win over Otterbein of Ohio in the season opener at Coyer Field. Running back Dale Stewart's 4th touchdown of the game, this one with 34 seconds remaining, gave the Bengals a 29-26 win. Stewart finished the game with 235 all-purpose yards, including 132 on 22 carries. Quarterback Kyle Hoppe completed 17 passes for 202 yards, including 10 passes to Madison Wesolowski for 118 yards. The Bengals are back in action on September 17th, hosting Alfred at noon at Coyer Field. Men's cross country claimed the Daniel Walker Invitational at the Beaver Island course on Grand Island. Phil Giuga led the Bengals, covering the 5K course in 17 minutes, 16 seconds. Mitch Raybold took second at 17:18. The women took second as a team and were led by Ronnie Quadruple and Elizabeth Wall, who took second and third respectively, with times of 20:24 and 21:09. And that wraps up this edition of Bengal Update. Well, we're joined now by cross country and Ray Shadowens, the head coach of the Bengals, with his cool-looking sunglasses.
Hey,
very Hollywoodish today, Ray. Let me tell you.
You put us outside, so I figured.
So you got to look cool. You got to show
it.
me up, right? And Ray brings along Phil Giuga, his outstanding junior from Tonawanda, and he is a warrior, not a lumberjack, and I'm a bulldog. But we're still talking.
Yeah,
Tonawanda
exactly.
and Tonawanda. That's great. First time on the show this year, Ray. So why don't you give the viewers a little preview first of your men's team?
Yeah, thanks, Tom. This year we come in. This is my second full year here. First time we're talking about this year. I think we're kind of taking that turn around from the previous predecessor, style. And so, we have a smaller team on the men's team. But the guys that we do have this year, they're buying into the mentality. They're buying into the new program. They're buying into the training. And it speaks a lot to their character for them to be able to do that and be able to buy into it. So it's an exciting group to have right now.
Great. And now we flip over to the women's side.
Absolutely. Even more the same mentality. We had to find the people, the girls that wanted to be a part of this, wanted to be a part of Buffalo State, knowing that, things are a little different here, maybe compared to our, rival teams, mainly being that we're the SUNYAC school inside a city, whereas everyone else might be out in the country doing what they want to do. But when you get those people that buy into it, it's so much fun.
Okay. He's talking a lot about buying into. What does that mean to you? Are you buying into? What is he trying to get you to buy?
Well, I know before I came along, the cross-country team had a lot of different coaches.
Yep.
I know 3 out of 3 years they had a different coach, so I don't think it's buying into it. I think it's adjusting to his training methods.
Very good.
And getting a coach that you trust, and when the race does come time, you'll dig deep and believe that what he has done will pay off in your time at the end.
So you've had some coaches in your high school and collegiate career.
Yes.
What is his method? What are you seeing?
I think more or less it's knowing the athlete personally.
Okay.
A lot of times you'll have coaches out there that they might have a great rep, they might have athletes that do good times, but if you're working with certain athletes, you don't know how to train them because each person is trained differently, then it may not pay off for them. But when you have a coach that you worked with one-on-one a lot, they know, oh, this athlete does this differently. They're more of a speed runner or a mid-distance runner, so it's a lot of different training methods that come into play there.
And so 2 things there. You mentioned style early, your style. What is your style, Ray?
Phil kind of spoke, for me there, but we do like to make it individualized.
Okay.
Just because it is a sport that has such a variety from it. You know, someone like Phil, who's succeeding early on in the season, traditionally has been more of a middle distance runner. I can't give the same type of mileage to an 800-meter runner as I give a true 5-10K type runner. Their bodies just work differently. So that individualized training goes in, and you know, that's where we have to, you know, that's where our assistant, Coach Nicole, and I have to hit the board and figure out where everyone is and reevaluate each week how our athletes are feeling and looking.
So they get to a practice on a Tuesday afternoon, and they all go off at the same time, let's say, but they might not end at the same time, or does the course differ from athlete to athlete?
You know, early on in the season, it's going to be the same type of running. So if we're doing something that's more interval type training, so everyone's going to run, we'll just say mile repeats.
Okay.
But obviously certain athletes are going to run those times faster. I might actually cut the rest shorter, so maybe someone's running it slower, but I'll give them a shorter rest in between.
Okay.
And then, you know, some of them might do 7 or 8, some of them might do 5 or 6, depending where we're at.
Very good. We competed in our Daniel Walker Invitational, and Ray, how did it meet your expectations, the results? The men took first, the women took second.
I was very pleased, because you can ask Phil, the day before we did a quality workout. You know, we basically trained through this meet, and then for our guys to go 1, 2, 3, couldn't ask for much better than that.
Okay, so what does he mean by quality workout? My mind is going six different places here.
Quality workout, basically, it's just a tough workout. We did 20-minute warm-up, 7-mile repeats, which would be, it's basically a 9.5-mile day the day before a tough meet. So yeah, it's a lot on the legs, but it was early in the season, so you got to get that mileage in early.
So a mile repeat, you do a mile, you take a little rest, you do another mile.
Yeah,
you do 7 of those.
Yeah, about nice 1 minute rest.
Okay, is that normal before a meet like that, or is
early in the season? You know, especially when we get young runners, they come in, they're, you know, doing a dual meet on Tuesday, an invitational on Saturday.
Okay.
Our sport, we don't have a record. It pretty much, whatever happens at SUNYX, that's your season.
Okay.
So while we always go in competing and, you know, want to give our best opportunity to win the meet or do well at the meet, sometimes we have to make a little sacrifices early on so that we can get the training in.
Okay. Now, did that come as a surprise, this quote-unquote quality workout? Were you expecting something that kind of what I would consider extensive, hard?
Oh, yeah. Last year, same belief. Early on the season, it's not about the beginning of the times, like you said, SUNYX, that final meet. That's basically your whole season. So it's basically you're training through it. And early on, time isn't a huge concern just because it's such a long season. So it was expected.
So you led the men with a time of 17:16 at the Walker.
Yeah.
Did that meet your expectations?
Yeah, I don't really think I had any time set expectations. I usually go into a meet, I'm confident in the workouts I've been doing, and I just run it as hard as I can, and the time usually comes with that.
That's interesting. So you're going 5K, am I correct at that?
Correct, yep.
And you're going full out, or is there a strategy?
Me and my training partner, Mitch Rabble, we knew that we'd be pacing it in front. So you want to go out aggressive, but you got to, in the back of your mind, you got to be slightly conservative. You don't want to go out too fast and then run out of gas your last 2 miles.
Gotcha.
So we just went out aggressive, and we kind of just found our pace, and we kind of worked with each other until that last, 300, 200 meters, and just see what happens from there.
Sounds like you got a good one here. You got about a minute left in this segment. What are you expecting out of him?
The sky is the limit for Phil.
Really?
We had a few injuries last year. To see him where he's at right now and healthy as he is, we got to keep him healthy. He's a guy that I know, no matter what I ask him, he's going to do the work. He does the work when I'm not watching, and that's what's going to set Phil apart. So it's exciting.
Well, very exciting news, and thanks for being on the show. Very interesting, too, on the training and the style of Ray Shadowens.
Thanks, Tom.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to go volleyball, and Maria DePeters, head coach of the Bengals, joins us. Stay with us. This is a college that inspires. Here you'll be engaged, strive for excellence, and prepare for a career. Visit our amazing Elmwood Village campus and apply today. You'll achieve your edge here. This place is Buffalo State College. Well, congratulations are going out to this week's Tim Hortons Athlete of the Week, and it's Tristan Myers from men's soccer. The junior nutrition major from Rochester had 4 goals in 3 games last week. Myers had a goal in the 4-0 win over Medaille and then added a hat trick in the 4-1 win over Baldwin Wallace at the Fredonia Classic. The Bengals earned that title, and Myers earned the MVP award for his 3-goal game. And get this, in his first 38 games as a Bengal, Tristan scored just 1 goal. He had 4 last week. So congratulations to Tristan Myers, this week's Tim Hortons Athlete of the Week. And we are now joined by volleyball. We go from outside to inside, and Maria DePeters, the head coach of the Bengals, joins us, along with her outstanding freshman from Flint, Michigan, of all places, Meg Brandon. And ladies, welcome. Coach, first time on the show this year. Give us a little overview of the team.
We're young. I brought in 10 new kids this year. 9 are freshmen, 1 transfer. I'm trying to think. I have 2 sophomores and 2 juniors.
Yes.
And really only one of those juniors had a consistent year of starting playing time. So we're young across the board.
Okay. So 9 freshmen, 2 or 3 sophomores. So of the 14 on the team, 11 or 12 are underclassmen.
Yeah.
So you go into training camp in August, and are you like, holy smokes? I mean, this is like starting all over again? What's the philosophy there?
It is starting all over again. And Leanne and I, my assistant coach and I, we sat down and we really broke everything down. I mean, when we were talking to the girls a lot in our first one-on-ones, we said, you know, we're almost like 4 days or 5 days practices-wise behind where we would want to be. Mm-hmm. But that's just because we really have to break down how we want our offense ran, how we want our passing ran, how we want our defense to be played, and really get into those fundamentals with the kids, because that's the most important, is the fundamentals of the game. Okay. And I think we saw that a little bit, you know, these past few weekends of playing, is that the fundamentals are what really make or break a game and a team.
Meg, you came from Flint, Michigan. Tell us the recruiting story there, how someone comes from Michigan to Buffalo State to play volleyball.
Well, I was actually looking at schools that offered my major, which is speech path.
Okay.
And there's not a lot of schools that offer that. And I was looking in this area, and the rest was history. I ended up sending an email to Coach, and she emailed me right back. So. Well,
the rest is history, but there's a little in between there.
Yeah.
So she sends you an email. So how does the process start? You needed to see some type of video.
So normally, if she sends an email, I'm not sure. I can't recall right now if her film was in that first initial email, and if it wasn't, then I'll email her back and say, yes, we're looking at bringing in a setter for next year. Please send us a highlight film or game footage, and that's exactly what she did. And so after I saw her film and I saw the level of the play of a setter that she is,
yes,
that I knew I wanted her. And then we began talking from there, and she came for a visit.
It appears like you have a good one here.
Yeah, she's great.
Tell me, what do you have athletically in Meg Brandon right now?
Megan probably has the best hands of a setter that I've had in the program in a long time. She knows the game really well, and she knows how to run the offense really great.
Okay, when you say hands,
yeah,
what does that mean in volleyball terms? Do you think the same thing? What does that mean?
What do you think when I say that?
Hands is a very natural thing as a setter. You are naturally gifted with hands to set with, which is your basically contact with the ball.
Okay.
And how you set it out to your hitters.
Very good. So you can see that on video when you were recruiting her.
That's the first thing we look at. And not only just the hands, but also the fundamentals of passing, her footwork, is she squaring up to the net, her release, things like that.
Okay. Are you at all surprised at where you are in this lineup right now and the things that you're doing as a freshman? Were you expecting to play this much?
I mean, coming into the program, I wasn't expecting to play as much as I am right now, but I'm definitely happy that I am.
Okay. Tell me more about what you had said earlier, that in the early part of the season you're realizing certain things, you're finding certain things out. It must be a constant tweaking of the team. How have the first couple of weeks gone? What are you looking to do?
I mean, ultimately, I said all I'm looking for is that we play our hearts out and we put everything out onto the court. You know,
Okay.
and that Leanne really preaches if you play a rally and you're not out of breath, you're not doing enough. So we're really preaching that. And I'm looking for them being vocal. I'm looking for them recognizing what's happening on the other side of the court. The offense and learning the type of offense that I'm running, and Megan's probably one of the people I'm hardest on the most because she is my setter, and
She's
she
nodding
knows
her
that.
head.
Yeah. It takes a while to get that down.
Okay.
And it takes a while to understand the speed and tempo of college volleyball down. So if we're one step behind, or we're trying to do our best, but the connection isn't there, we're trying to run the right play, but we're hitting it out of bounds, I'm okay with that because
Okay.
we're trying to do the right thing, and that connection will come. It's just making sure that we're consistently doing what I want to be done, and even if we don't follow, even if it doesn't go well, at least we're trying to do the right thing.
Do you sense that maybe a frustration too, but you're doing, how has the transition been for you personally?
I know from going from high school to college, the tempo of the game is so much faster. And there's a lot more expected of you at this level. There's no team that you can go out and just kind of beat. Every game is hard. Every game you have to work at.
We've got our fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Best of luck to you at Brockport when pool play opens up. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks.
Thanks for having
We're
me.
going to wrap it up for this edition of Bengal Magazine. Thanks to everybody on the show and the great staff at IR for coming out here at Koyer Field and doing the show. We'll see you again in 2 weeks for more Bengal Magazine.